A billionaire welcome a new maid in his mansion, and what happens after is shocking. Hello. You are very welcome. Enjoy the content, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. In the vast and luxurious interior of Alex Carter's mansion, the afternoon sun filtered through immense windows, casting a soft glow over the elegant furnishings and shelves filled with books. Lisa Johnson, the new employee, moved cautiously through the library, arranging the volumes with an almost obsessive precision. Her gaze, often lost in thought, did not go unnoticed by Alex, who watched her from a distance, seated at his desk, surrounded by documents and reports. She is beautiful, Alex thought, though he tried to push the idea from his mind. Lisa had an air of mystery that intrigued him and, at the same time, made him uncomfortable. He saw her as merely an assistant, someone to help him with his intense routine. However, something about her presence made him hesitate, as if there was more to her than her blue eyes and shy smile suggested. "Do you need help with that?" Alex asked, breaking the silence that enveloped the library. Lisa turned quickly, a slight blush appearing on her cheeks. "No, Mr. Carter. I'm almost done," she replied, trying to mask her surprise. Her voice was soft, but there was an underlying tension that did not go unnoticed. "Great. If you need anything, don't hesitate to call me," he said, returning his focus to his papers. But even as he read, his mind wandered back to the new employee. What was she hiding? Later, during dinner, the atmosphere was charged. Alex and his guests were chatting animatedly, but he couldn't take his eyes off Lisa, who was carefully serving the dishes. He noticed that each time his phone vibrated, she cast a furtive glance at the screen, her face becoming a mask of nervousness. "Is everything okay, Lisa?" he asked, curiosity evident in his voice. "Yes, sir. Just a message from a friend," she replied quickly, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Alex observed her critically, sensing that there was more to the story, but he didn't press the issue. Dinner continued, but the tension hung in the air like a heavy cloud. After the meal, as everyone dispersed, Alex decided to take a quick look in his office before calling it a day. It was then that he realized an important document was missing, a report containing crucial information about an ongoing real estate project. A cold knot began to take hold of him. He couldn't shake the connection he started to make between the missing document and Lisa's presence in the house. "It can't be," he murmured to himself, trying to dismiss the idea that the new employee was involved in something suspicious. But doubt settled in his mind. He approached the office door and hesitated for a moment. "You're overthinking it," he told himself, but the feeling of unease didn't dissipate. He needed time to reflect. However, the night did not bring him rest. Alex lay down, but his thoughts swirled around the messages Lisa had received and the missing document. He wanted to believe she was just a woman trying to find her place, but something in his intuition told him the story was more complicated than it seemed. "Alex, you're being paranoid," he whispered, trying to calm himself. But the truth was that, amid all the wealth of his life, there was a thread of uncertainty that troubled him. And deep down, he knew the new employee could be the key to an enigma that was about to unfold, revealing secrets that could shake the foundations of everything he had built. Alex Carter was sitting in his office, his mind bubbling with concerns. The presence of Lisa Johnson in his home, although initially seeming harmless, had triggered a series of events that left him restless. He looked out the window, watching the city of San Francisco light up at dusk. He needed answers, and the first person that came to mind was David, his trusted friend and private detective. Alex picked up the phone and called David, who answered almost immediately. "Alex, what happened?" David's voice sounded alert. "We need to talk. I'm starting to think someone is trying to sabotage my empire." "Lisa, she isn't who she says she is," Alex began, feeling the knot in his stomach tighten. David paused before responding, as if weighing his words. "You can't be reckless with this, Alex. The business world is treacherous, and you need to be sure before making accusations." "What makes you think that?" Alex took a deep breath. She got nervous when she received a message during dinner. And, more recently, an important document went missing from my office. I can't help but think there's a connection. David shook his head, even though Alex couldn't see him. I'll investigate, but you need to be careful. Sometimes things are not what they seem, and appearances can be deceiving. There may be something bigger at play. Meanwhile, in the mansion, Lisa was in her room, her phone vibrating incessantly on the table. She hesitated, looking at the unknown number appearing on the screen. An old contact, someone from her past who wouldn't stop haunting her. She answered, and the voice on the other side was firm and threatening. You know what you need to do, Lisa. We are counting on you. Don't be a traitor. Lisa's heart raced. She knew she should say no, that she should distance herself from this life. But the pressure was great. The group that had recruited her had deep claws in her past, and the loyalty she felt to them tormented her. I need more time, she replied, trying to sound confident, but her voice betrayed her nervousness. The conversation ended with a veiled promise of consequences, and Lisa felt adrenaline coursing through her veins. She was trapped in a dangerous game. The next day, Alex was at his desk, reviewing reports when he received a notification that his company had suffered a digital breach. His heart sank. Crucial documents had been stolen, and the feeling that Lisa might be involved intensified. He shot out of the office, David's words echoing in his mind. Trust was at stake, and now, more than ever, he needed to know the truth. Alex headed to the library, where he found Lisa organizing the books. The smell of paper and old wood was comforting, but he couldn't ignore the tension in the air. Lisa, we need to talk, he said, his voice firm. She looked at him, her eyes a little wider than usual. Of course, Alex. What do you need? About the digital breach. Did you receive any strange messages? Anything that might help us understand what's going on? Lisa's face paled for a moment, but she quickly regained her composure. No, I didn't receive anything, she lied, a slight tremor in her voice. Alex watched her, noticing the nervousness she was trying to hide. Something inside him told him there was more to this game than just an assistant and a businessman. I want you to be honest with me, Lisa. We need to trust each other if we want to resolve this. She hesitated, a visible conflict in her eyes. Alex could feel he was about to discover something that would change everything, but the pressure of the situation was palpable. I don't know if I can, Alex. My past? It's not easy to share, she finally confessed, her eyes filled with a mix of fear and determination. He stared at her, doubt and the need for trust hanging between them. The future of his company, and perhaps something more, depended on the truth she was still not ready to reveal. Alex Carter was sitting in his office, his eyes fixed on the computer screen, but his mind was far from any task that required his focus. The new employee, Lisa Johnson, had a presence that unsettled him. There was something in her posture, the way she looked down when questioned, that made him question her past. He didn't know what it was, but the feeling that she carried heavy secrets on her shoulders bothered him. After a day full of meetings and business decisions, Alex decided to confront her. He found her in the living room, organizing some books. The soft light from the lamp beside her illuminated her face, which showed a concentrated expression. He cleared his throat, calling her attention. Lisa, Alex began, his voice firm but not hostile. Can we talk for a moment? She turned, a bit surprised, and hesitated before responding. Sure, Mr. Carter. What do you need? About the documents that went missing from my office, he said, watching her reaction. You were in the house when this happened, and the truth is I can't ignore that. Lisa swallowed hard, her eyes narrowing slightly as if she were weighing her words. I have no idea where they could be. I was busy organizing things. I understand that you're trying to adjust to this job, but we can't have secrets between us, Lisa. This is vital, Alex insisted, frustration beginning to seep into his voice. She looked at him, an expression of vulnerability passing over her face. Mr. Carter, I'm not trying to hide anything. You don't know what I went through to get here. I just want a chance to rebuild my life. Rebuild your life? Alex repeated, feeling a mix of empathy and distrust. What exactly does that mean? What are you hiding? Lisa sighed, her shoulders dropping slightly. I had a difficult past. A life of bad choices and wrong people. I'm trying to change, but it's not easy. You can tell me what happened, Alex offered, trying to appear more open, though distrust still lingered. Maybe I can help. It's complicated, Lisa replied, her gaze drifting to the floor. I don't want you to get involved in my problems. You have a company to take care of, and I'm just an employee. But you're not just an employee, Lisa. You're part of my life now, he said, feeling that he needed to break down the barriers between them. And the truth is, the more I learn about you, the more I realize there's something dark in your past. And that worries me. As the tension hung in the air, Alex noticed his phone vibrating on his desk. It was a message from David, his friend and private investigator, informing him that he was investigating Lisa. Alex felt a chill run down his spine at the thought of the implications. What could David discover? What if Lisa really was linked to something dangerous? With his mind in turmoil, Alex decided he needed more information. He couldn't allow himself to trust Lisa completely, especially when his and his company's future was at stake. Meanwhile, David, for his part, was intensifying his research. He knew something was off, and with the keen eye of a detective, he began to piece things together. Lisa's connection to a criminal group he had already tracked seemed more plausible by the minute. What if Alex was putting himself in danger by trusting her? At that moment, Alex and Lisa's lives were intertwined, but the doubt in Lisa's dark past threatened to unravel everything Alex had built. He needed to decide whom to trust and what secrets to reveal, while Lisa struggled with her own internal battles, determined not to let her past define her. Alex decided it was time to clear his doubts about Lisa. After a hectic day, he saw her leave the mansion, her head down and shoulders tense. Without hesitation, he followed her, his heart pounding with anticipation of what he might discover. The path led him to a small cafe in downtown San Francisco, a discreet place where people often met away from prying eyes. When Alex entered, his gaze immediately fell on Lisa, who was sitting at a table in the corner with a mysterious man. He couldn't discern the words exchanged between them, but the expression on Lisa's face was one of nervousness and apprehension. The man gestured with his hands, and with each movement, the tension in the atmosphere grew. Alex, hidden at a nearby table, felt a knot form in his stomach. He wondered who that man was and what they were discussing. After a few minutes, the meeting ended abruptly. Lisa stood up, looking distressed. The man left a note on the table before leaving, and Alex, unable to resist, moved to the table as soon as Lisa turned her back. He picked up the note and read quickly, "You know what you have to do. Don't forget where you came from." The words burned in his mind, and he felt his heart race, distrust taking over his thoughts. When Lisa exited the cafe, Alex decided it was time to confront her. He followed her onto the street and called out, his voice firm. "Lisa, can we talk?" She turned, the surprise in her eyes quickly transforming into a mix of irritation and fear. "Alex, what are you doing here? I followed you. I saw you meeting with that man. What's going on?" Anger and concern mingled in his voice. "That's none of your business," she responded, trying to maintain her composure, but Alex noticed the fragility in her posture. "None of my business? You work for me, and now I don't know if I can trust you." He felt frustration rising, and the argument was quickly becoming more intense. "I'm not a criminal," Lisa exclaimed, raising her voice. "You don't know anything about me. I'm trying to change my life. Then tell me the truth. What did that man want?" Alex pressed, taking a step forward. There was a sense of urgency in her voice, as if the air around them was charged with tension. He's just an old acquaintance. I have nothing to do with what happened at your company," she said, but the hesitation in her voice was unmistakable. Do you think I'm going to believe that? I feel like you're hiding something, and it could cost me everything I've built. Alex replied, frustration now evident in his tone. Lisa took a deep breath, and for a moment, her gaze softened. I know you're worried, but I'm trying to leave my past behind. If you give me a chance, I can prove it. Alex hesitated. The tension between them was palpable. He wanted to believe her, but doubts were like shadows, clouding his vision. How can I trust you if you don't tell me the truth? Because I'm here, Alex. I didn't walk away. I could have done that, but I chose to stay, she said, vulnerability shining through her eyes. I feel like I'm falling for you, but that makes everything more complicated. Her words hit him like a punch to the gut. Alex felt his heart race, but concern still dominated his emotions. He finally stepped back, his mind a whirlwind. I don't know if we can keep going like this. The situation is out of control. After that argument, Alex returned to the mansion, his head spinning with confusion. He couldn't shake the feeling that what was about to happen would change everything. As he entered his office, he was met with a phone call from one of his executives, who warned him about rumors of corruption starting to circulate in the media. The crisis was about to become public, and Alex felt a chill run down his spine. Whatever was happening, he needed answers, and fast. And the only person who could give him those answers now was Lisa. The tension in Alex Carter's mansion was palpable. In the meeting room, the shareholders were restless, their faces etched with worry. Alex, we need answers, one of them insisted, their voice sharp as glass. The corruption rumors are spreading like wildfire. What are you going to do about it? Alex, with a serious expression, looked at each of the men and women in front of him. He knew the situation was critical, but he felt there was more at stake than just his company. There was a new presence in his life, a woman named Lisa Johnson, who had become a constant in his thoughts. Although his suspicions about her grew, he couldn't ignore the possibility that she might have crucial information. I'm working on it, Alex replied, trying to maintain his calm. But we need a strategic approach. We can't let the rumors take us down. The room fell silent, and he could feel the eyes fixed on his face. Everyone wanted to know if he had a plan. Meanwhile, in a secluded corner of the mansion, Lisa was engaged in an internal battle. The phone rang, and upon answering, a deep voice on the other end made her shiver. Lisa, you need to choose a side. Our group doesn't tolerate hesitation. What's it going to be? She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the pressure. I don't know. Alex is counting on me. I can't let him down. The voice on the other end became more threatening. If you don't do your part, the consequences will be severe. Don't forget who you really are. Heart racing, Lisa hung up the phone, her mind spinning with the implications. She knew she was at a crossroads. On one side was Alex, the man who seemed to see beyond her dark past, and on the other, her old group, who wouldn't hesitate to use her skills for illicit purposes. The choice she had to make wasn't just about loyalty, it was about survival. When Alex sought her out later, she was determined to open up. Alex, I need to talk to you, she said, her voice trembling. He looked into her eyes, and for a moment, the connection between them felt almost tangible. What is it, Lisa? You look nervous. She hesitated, the words stuck in her throat. The man you saw with me, he's just an old colleague. He wants me back in crime. I don't want to, but they're pressuring me. You're saying you have a criminal past? Is that what you were hiding from me? The distrust in Alex's voice was evident. Lisa closed her eyes for a moment, gathering her courage. Yes, I made mistakes, but I'm trying to change. I promised myself I wouldn't go back to that world. But you're still in contact with them. Don't you understand what that could mean for me? For my company? Alex's frustration was palpable, and Lisa could feel his confidence wavering. I know, and I'm so sorry, she said, tears beginning to form in her eyes. But I have no choice. They won't leave me alone. They might be behind this crisis. I just didn't see it before. The revelation made Alex's heart race. What do you mean by that? How do you know? I can't explain right now, but I can help you. If you trust me, I can find out who's behind this and clear your name. Alex's intense gaze scrutinized her, as if trying to decipher every word that came out of her mouth. He was torn between the need to trust her and the weight of what she might have done. I want to believe you, but the truth is I'm surrounded by lies. What if you're deceiving me? The vulnerability in Alex's voice was almost painful. I'm not a liar, Alex. I'm here, fighting to keep myself out of this dark world. I want to help you because I care about you, Lisa said, her sincerity shining through. The intensity of the moment made Alex hesitate. He knew he needed help, but doubt still lingered. Faced with the crisis threatening his empire, he found himself in a dilemma. Trust Lisa, the woman who might be the key to his salvation, or push her away, fearing that her past could make her a threat. As his thoughts intertwined, the office door swung open abruptly. An assistant entered, his face pale. Mr. Carter, we have a problem. The situation is worsening. We need your decision now. Alex looked at Lisa, the urgency of the situation pressing him against the wall. He knew he needed to act, but the truth that was about to be revealed could change everything. Alex and Lisa were sitting in his office, surrounded by a pile of documents that seemed to multiply with each passing moment. The tension in the air was palpable, but there was something new between them, a silent understanding that had formed after recent events. Alex looked at Lisa, who was focused on a sheet, her face illuminated by the soft light of the desk. We need to find out where this is coming from, he said, running a hand through his dark hair. If we can trace the origin of the crisis, maybe we can clear our name before the shareholders decide to crucify us. Lisa looked up, her expression serious. Do you think this is related to what happened the night of the invasion? To the messages I received? The concern in her voice was evident. She was trying hard to stay composed, but vulnerability still permeated her words. It could be. I just can't understand how someone would have access to such confidential information, Alex replied, his tone heavy with frustration. He stood up and began pacing back and forth, thinking aloud. We need concrete evidence. Something that links the crisis to some competitor. What if we find a clue in the company emails? There might be something that isn't visible at first glance, Lisa suggested, her expression lighting up with the new idea. That's a good idea. Let's do it, Alex agreed, admiring her determination. But first, we need to make sure we're not being watched. This situation has become much more dangerous than I expected. Lisa nodded, her expression showing that she was also aware of the risk. I'll take a look at the emails from the finance department. If there's a connection to any of our competitors, that could be the key. As Lisa dove into her task, Alex couldn't help but notice how dedicated she was to the work. He watched her for a moment, admiring her ability to focus on something so serious. However, a part of him still struggled with the distrust that had sprouted in his heart. You really don't know who's behind this, do you? He asked, his voice low and cautious. No, Alex. What I know is that someone is trying to force me to make a decision. They want me to go back to doing what I did before, Lisa replied, the anxiety in her voice rising. I don't want that, but it's complicated. Complicated? You might be putting your life at risk. And mine too, Alex said, his tone becoming more intense. She took a deep breath, trying to muster courage. I know, but I don't want you to worry about me. I'm here to help you. That's all that matters right now. It's not just that, Lisa. If you're involved in something deeper, it could affect everything I've built. My empire, my name, everything, Alex replied, feeling the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. I'm not involved, Alex. Trust me, she insisted, a touch of desperation in her voice. I swear I'm trying to distance myself from all of this. He watched her for a moment, undecided. If you're really trying to distance yourself, then we need to join forces. We can figure this out together. But I need you to be completely honest with me. No secrets. I promise, Lisa said, and for the first time, a sincere smile appeared on her face. Let's do this. Let's clear your name and, who knows, maybe we can find a way to distance ourselves from this dark past. Alex smiled back, feeling a momentary relief. Okay, then let's go for it. What can we do now? They focused again on the documents, and as they worked side by side, Alex felt the connection between them growing stronger. He knew the road ahead would be difficult, but something inside him believed that together they could face any storm. Trust was beginning to blossom between them, but the shadow of the past still loomed, a constant reminder that the truth could be more complicated than they imagined. Alex was in his office, the tension palpable in the air. The chic and well-lit environment of the mansion, which used to be a refuge of comfort and power, now felt suffocating. He looked out the window, contemplating the stunning view of San Francisco Bay, but his mind was elsewhere. David, his trusted friend and private investigator, had just arrived and seemed eager to share his findings. "Alex, I found something you need to see," David began, his serious tone cutting through the silence. He pulled a document from his briefcase and handed it to Alex. Alex frowned as he examined the paper. "What exactly does this mean?" he questioned, his hands tightening around the document. It was a file revealing a connection between Lisa and a criminal group, a detail that could change everything. "She has a past, Alex. A past you need to consider before fully trusting her," David said, his gaze fixed on Alex. "This group is dangerous, and if she's involved, it could be a threat to your empire." Alex felt a wave of anger and confusion. "You don't understand, David. Lisa, she's different. She's trying to get back on her feet, leave the past behind. But what if her past is back to haunt her? What if she's using you for some purpose?" David insisted, his words heavy. "I know you care about her, but you need to be rational. We can't let emotion cloud our judgment." Alex took a deep breath, battling the storm of emotions that engulfed him. He was sure that Lisa was trying to be honest with him, but the truth was that he didn't know what to believe. The dilemma settled in his heart. Should he trust the woman who had become such a significant part of his life? Meanwhile, Lisa was in her own struggle. She had received a phone call from an old contact who was pressuring her to fulfill a secret mission. The weight of loyalty to her group tormented her. In a secluded corner of the mansion, she looked at her cell phone, hesitating to answer. "I can't go back to this," she whispered to herself, her voice laden with despair. "I promised myself I left that life behind." But the voice of the man on the other end of the line was insistent. "Lisa, you know you can't just walk away. You have a job to do. And if you don't comply, the consequences will be severe." She closed her eyes, trying to block out the rising pressure. What could she do? Few knew about her true story, and those who did also knew how to use that information against her. The weight of her secrets was becoming unbearable. At that moment, Alex decided it was time to confront Lisa. He called her to his office, his heart racing with anticipation and fear of what he might discover. When she entered, the tension between them was palpable. Alex looked into Lisa's eyes, trying to decipher the woman who had become so important to him. "Lisa, we need to talk," he began, his voice firm. "I found some information about you." She swallowed hard, her face pale. "About what?" she asked, caution evident in her tone. "About your past. About the group you were involved with," Alex replied, his expression revealing a mix of concern and distrust. "What do you know about them? Are you hiding something from me?" Lisa hesitated, the anguish reflected in her eyes. "Alex, I am not the person you think I am. I had a hard life, and I'm trying to rebuild myself. But that doesn't mean I'm involved with them again. Then why didn't you tell me before? Why weren't you honest with me?" Alex questioned, frustration growing. "If you're really on my side, that's something you should have shared." She took a deep breath, trying to find the right words. "I was scared, Alex. Scared of losing you. I thought that if you knew, you would push me away. I just wanted a chance to be normal." "Normal?" he repeated, incredulity in his voice. "You can't just ignore your past. It's back and threatening me, threatening everything I've built." At that moment, The atmosphere became heavy and charged with unspoken tensions. Lisa looked at Alex, her heart breaking. I don't want to hurt you. Please, believe me. I'm trying to do the right thing. Alex felt the internal battle intensify. He wanted to believe her, but the shadow of what David had revealed loomed over him like a dark cloud. What if you're putting yourself in danger? What if your past can reach us? I promise I won't let that happen, Lisa declared, her voice firm but trembling with insecurity. Just give me a chance. Let me prove that I'm on your side. The tension in the air was almost unbearable, and Alex found himself torn between the love he felt for her and the distrust that grew every second. The doubts were there, like shadows, and he knew he needed to make a decision. The time to act was approaching, and their future depended on the truth that was about to be revealed. Lisa felt the weight of the situation on her shoulders. The tension that had built up over the past weeks left her restless. She knew she had crossed boundaries, that her presence in Alex's mansion was not just a job. It was a dangerous game of emotions and secrets. With every moment spent beside him, her loyalty to the group that had recruited her became harder to maintain. With a heavy heart, she decided that the best option was to distance herself. After all, what could she offer Alex, except risks? That night, as the mansion still echoed with laughter and conversations, Lisa retreated to her room. The soft light from the lamp illuminated the room, but her mind was dark. She sat on the edge of the bed, holding her phone with trembling hands. The message she was about to send could change everything. With a deep sigh, she began to type. Alex, I need to go. This isn't safe for you. It's better this way. She hesitated, her fingers hovering over the screen. What was she doing? The truth was, she loved Alex, but she couldn't put his life at risk. The criminal group wouldn't hesitate to hurt him to ensure she stayed in line with their interests. With one last look around the room, as if saying goodbye to a home, she pressed send. At the same time, Alex walked through the mansion's corridors, his mind swirling with thoughts about Lisa. He was determined to confess his feelings to her that night, but something was holding him back. A strange feeling, a pressure in his chest that made him hesitate. When he spotted Lisa's phone on the table, his heart raced. Could it be that she was thinking of him too? He picked up the phone and, upon unlocking it, found the message. The pain that pierced his chest was instantaneous. No, it can't be, he murmured to himself, feeling as if the ground had opened beneath his feet. Lisa, he yelled, his voice echoing through the empty corridors. The door to her room was slightly open, and Alex didn't hesitate to push it. Lisa was standing there, the expression of someone who had made a difficult decision. She turned to him, her eyes filled with unshed tears. Alex, I didn't want you to find out like this, she said, her voice trembling. Like what? Like you're planning to leave me? He replied, his voice heavy with despair. You can't just walk away like this. What happened to us? I don't want to involve you in this. You don't know who I really am. I have a past that can hurt you, Lisa explained, trying to keep calm, but emotion was spilling over in her words. And what is this past, Lisa? What else could you be hiding from me? Alex was in shock, confused and hurt. I thought we were in this together. I thought you trusted me. She hesitated, the words stuck in her throat. I trust you, Alex, but I can't risk your life. The group that recruited me stops at nothing. They are after me, and you could be the next target. So, you're going to distance yourself from me? Is that what you're saying? The frustration and sadness in his voice were palpable. You can't just disappear and expect me to understand. I'm not disappearing. I'm trying to protect you. Lisa shouted, the pain in her heart becoming unbearable. If I stay, you'll get hurt. And I can't live with that. Please understand. Alex looked into her eyes, searching for the truth he had always seen there. He moved closer, almost touching her face, but hesitated. The distance between them felt like an abyss. What if I don't care about the risk? What if I want to fight by your side? This isn't about wanting. It's about what's right. she replied, her voice now almost a whisper. You can't save me, Alex. I'm the only one who can save you. Alex's eyes filled with tears, the pain of losing someone who had become essential in his life consuming him. But I can't lose you. Not like this, he said, his voice breaking. Lisa knew the decision was made, but couldn't come to terms with it. With one last look filled with love and farewell, she stepped back, her heart in tatters. Goodbye, Alex. I hope one day you can forgive me. And so, with the weight of separation, they turned away from each other for the last time, each carrying the fragility of an unfulfilled but deeply felt love. Alex Carter's mansion was wrapped in a tense silence, interrupted only by the distant sound of approaching footsteps. The dark night was punctuated by dancing shadows, and a feeling of danger lingered in the air. Alex and Lisa were in the living room when they heard the sound of glass breaking, followed by hoarse, threatening voices. They're here, Lisa whispered, her eyes wide as she looked at Alex. Fear permeated her voice, but there was a burning determination in her gaze. Alex felt his heart race. He had always been a man who controlled every situation, but now, uncertainty and adrenaline made everything unpredictable. We need to act fast. We can't let them catch us off guard, Alex said, his voice firm. He turned to the door, listening to the approaching footsteps. Let's get ready. If they come in, we have to be ready to fight. Lisa nodded, her expression shifting from fear to focus. I know where some wooden clubs are in the workshop. They might be useful. Without hesitation, she ran toward the workshop while Alex positioned himself near the entrance, his body tense like a spring ready to release. Minutes passed, but they felt like hours. The noise of the invaders intensified, and Alex could hear their voices growing clearer. Let's take this guy out once and for all. He can't escape, one of them shouted. The anger and determination in the man's voice were palpable. Alex, I'm back. Lisa entered, holding 2 clubs, one in each hand. Here, take this. She handed him one, and his fingers closed around the object, feeling the cold, solid texture of the wood. We're in this together, he said, looking into her eyes. The space between them was charged with a new confidence. They were no longer just boss and employee. They were allies, fighting against a common enemy. The invaders finally broke down the door, and Alex and Lisa prepared themselves. Let's go, Alex shouted, charging toward the first man who entered, a hulking brute with a fierce expression. The impact of the club against the invader's stomach made the man double over, but he wasn't out of the fight yet. With a quick movement, Alex turned and landed a blow to the man's face, sending him crashing to the ground. Lisa didn't hold back. She advanced against another invader with courage, using the club skillfully. Get out of my way, she shouted, striking the man with a precise hit to the leg, causing him to stumble and fall. We won't let you intimidate us. Alex looked at Lisa, admiring her strength amid the chaos. You're amazing, he shouted to her as they fought side by side. Thanks, but we don't have time for compliments now, Lisa replied, dodging an attack and countering with a precise strike. The third man entered the room, and both turned to face him. The tension was high. Alex and Lisa exchanged a quick glance, a silent understanding that they needed to keep fighting together. They were in sync, and each movement felt like a choreographed dance amid the confusion. Let's end this once and for all, Alex shouted, charging toward the invader. With a swift movement, he delivered a blow that took him down. When the last man fell, Alex took a deep breath, trying to regain his breath. We did it, he said, panting but relieved. Lisa, still holding the club, looked around as the adrenaline began to fade. But this isn't over yet. We need to prepare for what's next. Alex shook his head, looking at her. You're right. But for a moment, I couldn't have asked for a better partner for this battle. She smiled, a grin that mixed relief and determination. Let's unite, Alex. Together, we're stronger. Looking into her eyes, Alex felt a spark of hope ignite in his chest. They had faced danger, and together, they were ready to face whatever came next. Alex and Lisa stood side by side at the dark entrance of the old mansion that the criminal group used as their headquarters. Shadows danced on the walls as a dim light trickled through the dusty windows. Alex's heart pounded, each beat echoing his internal conflict. He looked at Lisa, who maintained a serious expression, but her eyes reflected a mix of determination and fear. "Are we ready for this?" Alex asked, his voice almost a whisper. "We need to do this, Alex. For us and for your company. They won't stop until they get what they want." The firmness in Lisa's voice was a relief amid the chaos surrounding him. With a nod, Alex pushed the door open, and the two entered. The atmosphere was oppressive, filled with men and women murmuring. The tension in the air was palpable. Alex felt the weight of Lisa's gaze on him, but he had no time to reflect on it. He needed to focus on the mission. "Let's split up. Gather what you can. I'll try to find the leader," he said, his voice heavy with urgency. Lisa hesitated, but there was no time for discussion. "Be careful, Alex. If you encounter anyone, don't expose yourself." "I promise I'll be careful." He watched her move away, disappearing into the shadows, and then, with his heart racing, he pressed on. After a while, Alex found a slightly ajar door and decided to enter. What he saw made his stomach churn. A large table surrounded by men with familiar faces, each one a significant member of the underworld he was trying to avoid. In the center, a gray-haired man, imposing and charismatic, spoke with authority. "We need to take out Alex Carter. He's a threat to our business, and we can't let him continue," the man said, his voice resonating in the room. Alex, hidden behind a pillar, felt a wave of anger. He was preparing to step in and confront this group, but something made him hesitate. The man was turning, and in a moment that felt like an eternity, Alex saw the face he thought was buried in the past. It was his father. "Dad?" The words slipped from his lips, full of disbelief. The man he had considered dead for so many years was now right in front of him, and the pain of betrayal and abandonment flooded his heart. Alex stepped forward, unable to contain himself. "You're alive." The room went silent immediately. All eyes turned to Alex, and his father smiled enigmatically. "Ah, Alex. I knew you would come. I always knew you were smarter than they thought. Why did you do this? Why did you join these monsters?" Alex felt anger and sadness intertwining, a storm within him. "Because power is everything, my son. And you, in your naivete, are about to lose everything you've built. Don't you see? The business world is a war, and I'm just on the right side of it." "The right side?" Alex shouted, his voice echoing in the room. "You betrayed our family, and now you want to destroy mine." Lisa, who had been listening to the conversation from outside, stepped in. "Alex, no. He's trying to manipulate you." She stood beside him, her penetrating gaze fixed on Alex's father. "Ah, the new girlfriend of little Carter. Do you really think you can protect him?" "You don't know who you're dealing with," the man said, dismissing Lisa's presence. "I don't need protection, and definitely not from you," Alex retorted, determination rising. "You're not my father. You're a traitor. Watch your words, Alex. You might regret them," the man threatened, his eyes cold as ice. "I'm not going to let you continue with this. If you want war, then I will fight," Alex declared, his heart pounding with adrenaline. He turned to Lisa, who was to his right, and saw the same determination reflected in her eyes. "We're in this together, no matter what happens," she whispered, her hand squeezing his. "Yes, together," he replied, and the connection between them strengthened his resolve. The members of the criminal group began to rise, the atmosphere turning hostile. Alex and Lisa were ready. The fight that would follow would not just be for survival, but for the very definition of family and love. And as Alex faced his father, the battle between past and future was about to begin, with the fate of everyone at stake. I sincerely hope that you were enchanted by this story. I'm sure the next video that appears to you will also touch your heart. So, Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our next stories. A big hug and see you next time.